What's going on here? And what does Jesus say? What do you hear? The deaf hear, the dumb speak, the blind see, the lame leap like a stag, etc. So John, being versed in the Jewish scriptures, and especially the prophets, would know when people are being healed, when people are regaining their sight, all of that, that means the reign of God has happened. So that answer says to John, I'm the one, John. You haven't wasted your life. I'm the one you've been waiting for. In the person of Jesus. So yeah, some very powerful stuff. Some very powerful stuff. Yes, Sharon.
Okay, but it was always stressed to me from this reading from Mark, the voice coming down from heaven as Jesus is baptized.
This is my beloved son.
Son, in whom I am well pleased. Or I mean my favorite rest, as it says in my translation. How many times would John have experienced that happening as he was baptizing people in the Jordan or anywhere?
I'm guessing this would have been the only situation.
So did I. So why is there the doubt then?
Because he's human,
This happened.
and because he's going to die soon. And when we're human, even if we're people of great faith, when we realize our end is coming, or something really unpleasant is coming, yeah, we have doubts and we have questions, and we falter a little bit in that faithfulness. Yeah.
And my thinking is, John was convinced and knew it, but he wasn't sure his followers were going to continue to maintain that belief when he was no longer. And they may not have been there to hear and experience this.
Yep. So in the case of that reading we had, his disciples hear it from Jesus himself
Right.
as well.
And John's sister was married to Herod? Is that what you said?
No. Herod, King Herod,
King Herod.
this will be helpful before we go to the other Gospels too. When it comes to the Gospel stories, especially early on, you have Herod the Great, and then Herod Antipas is his name. So it's Herod the Great's son, Herod Antipas. So by the time this happens, at the beginning of Jesus' ministry, John's ministry at the Jordan and so forth, Herod the Great has died. His son, Herod Antipas, is now on the throne in Jerusalem. And he has taken his brother's wife as his own.
Oh,
We're not talking about a widow situation. He just saw her at Thanksgiving dinner and decided, I like the looks of her. Okay, and the reason I say that is because I don't want there to be confusion. In the Old Testament, Dave, you probably know this, in the Old Testament, it's actually written in the law, if your brother's wife dies, if your brother is married and he dies without children, the law strongly suggests, it's not a matter of yes or no, right or wrong, but the law strongly suggests if your brother dies without children, you should marry your sister-in-law. You should marry his wife and bring up children as a blessing to him, if you will. So that was considered very noble, very righteous, to marry your brother's widow and give him children, only, even though you're the father, so to speak. But that wasn't the situation. It was a situation of adultery,
okay.
where he took his brother's wife for his own, Herod. Yeah. So John called him out on it, and that's what got John arrested. You know the story of Salome and the dance and all that. If not, watch The Chosen. It'll be in there sooner or later. So, okay? Okay, so that's for Mark. Let's go to the first of the Synoptic Gospels then, Matthew. Oh, I was running a little close today. I normally don't start chapter 1 of Matthew without having a little nice smooth Irish whiskey first. So we'll see how this goes. Because as you can see there, I'm kidding, of course. It starts with the genealogy of Jesus. So I could have Sharon read through this, but I'm just going to tackle it myself. And you all just try to keep up, okay? So chapter 1 of Matthew should start something like the book of genealogy of Jesus Christ, the son of David, the son of Abraham. Okay, so Matthew starts, again writing mainly to the Jews, with a very Jewish note. Okay? if you're living in first century Palestine at the time of the birth of Jesus, right? If you don't know anything of the backstory, who is the father of Jesus?
Abraham.
I heard it. Who said it?
God.
To the world, who is the father of Jesus?
Oh,
Joseph. Okay, I said you don't know the backstory.
oh, okay.
You see a couple from Nazareth who are having a child, right? Mary, Joseph. Okay? That's not what Matthew starts with. Matthew starts on a very Jewish note. Jesus Christ, the son of David, which puts him in the line of the royal family, the most beloved king of Judea, of Israel, the son of Abraham. So it ties Jesus as the Lord back to David, the most beloved king, the royal line, and then all the way back to the patriarch Abraham. That's why he starts that way, because it fixes Jesus within that family tree of the Jewish nation. Okay? So then he goes back, verse 2, and he starts with Abraham. Some of this we've heard. Abraham became the father of Isaac, Isaac the father of Jacob, Jacob the father of Judah and his brothers. How many brothers? 11. Total of 12. Okay? So Jacob is the father of the 12 tribes of Israel, right? That's who he's... But only Judah gets named, okay? Because Judah is seen as the closest line for Israel. So Isaac the father of Jacob, Jacob the father of Judah and his brothers. That's the 12 tribes we're talking about. Judah became the father of Perez and Zerah, whose mother was Tamar. Perez became the father of Hezron, Hezron the father of Ram, Ram the father of Amminadab. Again, as I like to say and point out, if any of your relatives, if you have grandchildren or anything like that who are expecting children, Amminadab is a great name up for grabs. So recommend that on a little slip on their Christmas gift, that you think you found the name for the little boy. Okay, Amminadab. There'll be another one. I can't. This is why I need the Irish whiskey, I'm telling you. Amminadab became the father of Nahshon, Nahshon the father of Salmon. Not salmon, that's a fish. Okay, Salmon. Salmon the father of Boaz, whose mother was Rahab. Boaz became the father of Obed, whose mother was Ruth. Obed became the father of Jesse, Jesse the father of David the king. How many of you went to Catholic school? Remember when we were in Catholic school, you did something called the Jesse tree? Normally it happened this time of year because we were thinking about the genealogy of Jesus. The Jesse tree is right there. Jesse, the father of David. Okay? So that sets it in history again. David became the father of Solomon, whose mother had been the wife of Uriah. This makes me laugh. I'm sorry. When you're a history geek, you just love this stuff. Solomon, whose mother had been the wife of Uriah. Okay? Before we go on, do you remember what that story is? What's her name, Sharon? The woman on the roof. The woman that David sees, Bathsheba. You'll notice she doesn't get mentioned here. Only that she was the wife of Uriah. We hear other women mentioned. That scandal is still very fresh when this has been written. She's listed as Solomon's mother, who had been the wife of Uriah. She is not mentioned by name. I think that's very intentional in this text. Okay, her name is Bathsheba. He knew that. It's in the text. Okay? You know, you have those relatives that you leave out of the family tree sometimes. We all have that. Solomon became the father of Rehoboam, also a great name. Rehoboam, the father of Abijah. Abijah, the father of Asaph. Asaph became the father of Jehoshaphat. Jumping Jehoshaphat, right? Jehoshaphat became the father of Joram. Joram, the father of Uzziah. Uzziah became the father of Jotham. Jotham, the father of Ahaz. Ahaz, the father of Hezekiah. Hezekiah became the father of Manasseh. Manasseh, the father of Amos. Amos the father of Josiah. Josiah became the father of Jeconiah and his brothers at the time of the Babylonian exile. So now we're looking at what year? 587. Okay, so we have traced all the way from Abraham, about the year 2000, 1500 years forward to 587. Okay, then it continues, verse 12. After the Babylonian exile, Jeconiah became the father of Shealtiel, Shealtiel the father of Zerubbabel, Zerubbabel the father of Abiud, Abiud became the father of Eliakim, Eliakim the father of Azor, Azor the father of Zadok, Zadok became the father of Achim, Achim the father of Eliud, Eliud the father of Eleazar, Eleazar became the father of Mathan, Mathan the father of Jacob, Jacob the father of Joseph, the husband of Mary. Of her was born Jesus, who is called the Messiah. So again, there's a lot of detail in here. There's a lot of names. There's a lot of tracing of the family tree. And if we assume that this is written around 50 to 55 in Matthew's gospel, this has all come together over those 20 years, 15, 20 years. Okay? So we finally come now to the second Jacob, Joseph of Nazareth. His father's Jacob, Joseph, the husband of Mary. Of her was born Jesus, who is called the Messiah. Okay? You will notice what is interesting about that last statement.
Joseph wasn't the father.
Matthew has broken the pattern. He's broken the pattern. Eliud, the father of Eleazar. Eleazar became the father of Mathan. Mathan, the father of Jacob. Jacob, the father of Joseph. Joseph, the father of... No, that's not what he said. He breaks the pattern of the heritage and says, Jacob, the father of Joseph, the husband of Mary, of her was born Jesus, who is called the Messiah. So you already can tell by this, Matthew's going to get to the point of saying, Joseph was not the father. Okay? So again, the text it gives you hints about where it's going and what it's trying to convince you of by the very beginning of it, the very opening of it. Verse 17 is not totally accurate, but it's good enough. Thus, the total number of generations from Abraham to David is 14 generations. From David to the Babylonian exile, 14 generations. From the Babylonian exile to the Messiah, 14 generations. Have we talked about numerology in here? I don't remember if we have. I don't think we did. We'll get to it when we get to the law and all that. Numerology was very important to the Jewish faithful in that there are numbers that are considered special, there are numbers that are considered sacred, and we've borrowed a whole lot of them as Christians. The sacred numbers for the Jewish people are 3, as in Trinity. 7 is the most sacred, the most special number. You also have numbers like 10, as in 10 Commandments, 40, as in 40 years in the desert, 40 days wandering after leaving Egypt, 50, because it's a nice round number, as in the date of Pentecost, etc. But going back to number 7, 7 is considered the most special sacred number. Okay? I don't think it's by chance that we ended up with 7 sacraments. I think that was intentional as things unfolded. Okay? 7 doubled is what?
14.
Look at there. 14. You've got the perfect number double to make 14. 14 generations from Abraham to the exile, from the exile, David, all that. All the way down. So you're talking about really good stuff to the Jewish mind and heart. Okay? Yay! Verse 18, the birth of Jesus. That's why we're here. That's why somebody brought soup. That's why we have goodies, right? We're getting ready to celebrate all this good stuff. So Matthew continues, now this is how the birth of Jesus Christ came about. When his mother Mary was betrothed to Joseph, but before they lived together, she was found to be with child through the Holy Spirit. Joseph, her husband, since he was a very righteous man, yet unwilling to expose her to shame, decided to divorce her quietly. We would say, break off the engagement. Okay, there's a little bit different terminology, but that's what betrothal was. It was a very serious, committed engagement, and then at the end of that, you came together, shared the residence, got married, etc. Okay? But to their mind and heart, they simply use the term divorce her quietly. Such was his intention when, behold, the angel of the Lord appeared to him in a dream and said, Joseph, son of David, do not be afraid to take Mary, your wife, into your home, for it is through the Holy Spirit that this child has been conceived in her. She will bear a son, and you are to name him Jesus, because he will save his people from their sins. All this took place to fulfill what the Lord had said through the prophet. Behold, the virgin shall be with child and bear a son, and they shall name him Emmanuel, which means God is with us. When Joseph awoke, he did just as the angel of the Lord had commanded him, and took his wife into his home. He had no relations with her until she bore a son, and he named him Jesus. Debbie, you're shaking your head. Like this story? So far, so good? Okay. Why does Joseph need an angel in his dream?
The story's hard to believe.
What is Joseph, come on, we're all human. What's going through Joseph's mind?
He's mad. He's
She
mad.
had an affair.
He knows that he's betrothed to this young woman. She could have been 14, 15, 16 in that culture. It's hard to know. And all of a sudden,
She's pregnant.
and he knows it's not his. Holy. I mean, that's so hurtful. That's so painful. He could have, this is why it's written the way it is, he could have had her stoned. He could have gone to her house, because she's with her parent, he could have dragged her out and had the village stone her for adultery. Because she is pregnant with someone's child and it's not mine. And so he would be the one that would bring charges against her. But because he is righteous, the text says, because he's a righteous man, and I think because he cared about her, because he actually loved her, go figure, he says, we're just going to take care of this quietly. But that let's not be blind about that. That's the situation from Joseph's perspective. So an angel has to come to him and say, hey, wait a minute. Don't get rid of her. You're part of this plan too. And so he's given the directive, take her. This is through the Holy Spirit, etc. And as Brenda said, that's a pretty hard story when you're the one in the middle of it. Okay, we have 2,000 years of faith tradition. If you're sitting on the middle of it, that's a pretty tough situation. So God bless him for being filled with grace. She bore a son. This is verse 25. He had no relations with her till she bore a son, and he named him Jesus. You'll notice Joseph, as the father, or we would say foster father, has the right to name. The father in the Jewish family always names the children. Okay? You will notice then, chapter 2 begins with visit of the Magi. When Jesus was born in Bethlehem of Judea in the days of King Herod, now again, this is Herod the Great that I mentioned before, behold, Magi from the east arrived in Jerusalem, saying, where is the newborn King of the Jews? We saw his star at its rising, and we've come to do him homage. When King Herod heard this, he was greatly troubled, and all Jerusalem with him. Assembling all the chief priests and the scribes of the people, he inquired of them where the Messiah was to be born. They said to him, in Bethlehem of Judea, for thus it has been written through the prophet, and you, Bethlehem, land of Judah, are by no means least among the rulers of Judah, since from you shall come a ruler who is to shepherd my people Israel. Then Herod called the Magi secretly. We're not talking cell phones here. He called them secretly and ascertained from them the time of the star's appearance. He sent them to Bethlehem and said, go and search diligently for the child. When you have found him, bring me word that I too may go and do him homage. After their audience with the king, they set out, and behold, the star that they had seen at its rising preceded them, until it came and stopped over the place where the child was. They were overjoyed at seeing the star, and upon entering the house, they saw the child with Mary his mother. They prostrated themselves and did him homage. Then they opened their treasures and offered him gifts of gold, frankincense, and myrrh. And having been warned in a dream not to return to Herod, they departed for their country by another way. When the Magi had departed, behold, the angel of the Lord appeared to Joseph again in a dream and said, Rise, take the child and his mother, flee to Egypt, and stay there until I tell you. Herod is going to search for the child to destroy him. Joseph rose and took the child and his mother by night and departed for Egypt. He stayed there until the death of Herod, that what the Lord had said through the prophet might be fulfilled. Out of Egypt I call my son. So if you've ever seen a picture, or sometimes it's more of like a sketching of Joseph leading a mule and Mary's on the mule holding a child, that's what that's depicting. It's called the flight to Egypt, or the flight into Egypt. Okay? If you see just Mary on the mule and he's leading the mule, that's when they're on their way to Bethlehem, right? But if she's already got the infant in her arms, that's the flight to Egypt. And so again, at this time of year, we see those pictures and we think, oh, it's all warm and wonderful. They were running for their lives. Okay? There's nothing holiday-ish about that. They were escaping from their homeland to a foreign country so that the child would be safe.
So how old was Jesus at this point?
Well, don't you just ask all the right questions. Okay?
I didn't hear what she said.
She said, how old was Jesus at this time?
Yeah.
Somewhere around 1 to possibly even 2 is what most scholars say. Now, let me back up a little bit here. We're going to stop here with Matthew, by the way. So, we've gotten through the birth of Jesus, etc., etc. From Matthew's account, come on, you good Catholic people, what's missing?
Shepherds.
The wise men.
Shepherds.
Shepherds coming.
What else? What do you have in your homes? Don't say a Christmas tree, I'll throw something at you. Nativity scene.
Manger.
Where's the manger? Where's the stable? Where's the shepherds? Where's the angels? Matthew has none of that. Matthew has none of that. This section we just read about the Magi coming from the east, following the star, talking to Herod, etc., etc. When do we get that? Epiphany.
Yeah.
In January, early January. Okay, but in terms of what we would consider Christmas Eve, the 24th, Christmas Day, whatever, 25th, we're missing a whole lot of details. What time is it?
10:03.
Okay, let's take a break. Let's have some soup, some goodies, and then we'll come back and dive into Luke.
But the Magi don't get there like in 3 weeks.
Oh, yes, before we take our break, let me go back to that, because I meant to and I forgot. Yes, thank you. You'll notice when the Magi visit, it's not at a manger, it's not at a stable, is it? It says the star came and stood over the house, and when they entered the house, so he's maybe 6 months, maybe he's a year, maybe he's a year and a half. We don't know for sure. We do know as the story continues, based upon the information that Herod gets in his paranoia, that he decides, I'll kill all the babies under 2 years of age.
The boys.
The boys. That's the basis of that, what we call the massacre of the innocents, which I hate, because it's so awful. But again, when Herod gets his information, he thinks, okay, somewhere within this 2-year range, I got to get rid of this baby boy. Why?
Was it John's
He's the king, dang it! And if some king of the Jews has been born somewhere, I'll take care of him. Okay? So there's a lot of goodness in here, but there's also a lot of sadness. Typical of life, isn't it?
Yeah.
So, let's have our treats and then we'll come back and we'll go over to Luke. Because, as Desi would say, Lucy, you got some splaining to do. Gotta fit the details together. You didn't know I was old enough to know that quote, did you? I Love Lucy was a classic show.
Reruns.
We were still watching it in reruns, that's right.